I'm Greg Jacobson, the co-founder and chief product officer of KaiNexus. I'm an emergency room physician. I actually founded KaiNexus when I was an ER doctor, and I realized there was this kind of huge untapped potential sitting on the front lines related to improvement work. And the biggest deficiency I found was there was no way to help people connect and collaborate. And so realizing that we could build a piece of technology that could really aid in that process and really start changing behaviors of organizations. And hence KaiNexus was born. With me today, I have a Jeff Roussel, the VP of Sales. Jeff?
Hi, I'm Jeff Roussel, guys, the VP of Sales. I joined KaiNexus earlier this year after a very extensive background in the software as a service industry, and I was taken in by the belief and the passion here that there's an opportunity for organizations to improve themselves by engaging their employees. And our mission here is to help organizations to facilitate that engagement, and that resonated with me. And I'm glad to be here. I'm looking forward to this webinar today. So let's go through some quick logistics. We're going to spend about an hour today. We'll spend the first 40 minutes or so talking about KaiNexus and seeing KaiNexus in action. We'll do a quick presentation just so we all understand background and we're on the same page. And then we are going to jump into a demo of KaiNexus so you can see the platform in action. We will try to save about 15 minutes at the end for questions. You are more than welcome to type your questions in the chat area at in the GoToWebinar panel. We would ask, though, that we kind of hold the questions until the end verbally, just to make things go along a little smoothly. And at the end of this, you will get a recording link to this version of the webinar. That should come to you automatically. I would tell you, though, that after this webinar, we would invite you to visit and to share both this recording and the recording of any of our other webinars at our webinar library. You can find it at www.kainexus.com/webinar-library. And I would also tell you that if you're not yet already, I would invite you to visit our blog and sign up for our blog. We do our best to provide relevant information for anyone who is interested in continuous improvement, employee engagement, and improving their organization.
Yeah, and let me just add, Jeff, on the webinars, I've been doing webinars for a number of years with Mark Graven. Recently, we've been really changing them up, so definitely make sure to go check them out. We did one last month with Gemba Academy, one the month before that on leadership behaviors, really changing up the topic. Our customers and other folks that follow us as a company are just getting a lot of value. We're getting a lot of great feedback from that. And as you'll learn from what we're going to talk about today, the technology is one piece of that. So while we're going to focus on the technology today, there are other elements to that. And then, the blogging has just been such a great experience for us. We have grown substantially as a company in the last, this year specifically. It's given us a lot more bandwidth. We're inviting people to guest blog on it, and it's just been a lot of fun. So it's really simple. When you go there, you can actually just type in your email and pick your frequency, and we'll push them right into your inbox for you. And great content on there. So definitely check those out.
Great.
All right, I think we're ready to hop right into this.
So why don't we start, guys, and we'll talk about the background of KaiNexus. Greg mentioned kind of some of the reasons why he founded KaiNexus, and I found it extremely valuable to understand this when I joined the organization. But KaiNexus is designed as a continuous improvement platform. We are built on the fundamental principles of continuous improvement. And the thought here is that there are already a number of systems out there that help people do work. We see financial systems, we see ERP systems, we see pricing systems and billing systems, but KaiNexus aims to be the system to help people improve their work. And I think you'll see today, we are built with that mission in mind. Our goal is to help make it easier and to help make it more effective for organizations to improve themselves. Now, Greg mentioned this earlier. We can't do it alone. The fact of the matter is, our technology is only one piece of the puzzle. In order for us to be successful helping organizations, there has to be a commitment from leadership, and there has to be a methodology in place in order to engage employees and in order to implement the ideas that come from the employees. But the thought here is that if you have that, technology a technology like KaiNexus can make it so much easier and so much more effective to facilitate that improvement, that you get so much more out of it. And we're seeing that today in so many different customer examples.
And when you get that, kind of those three pillars, it's kind of like a magical recipe. And what I think is so interesting, doing this now for, upwards of 10 years, is that those three pillars might look a little different at all those different organizations. And so, there might be elements that the leadership does differently in different organizations, but you're going to see that there's always a strong leadership presence. And methodology might be different. We see folks that have cultures of continuous improvement, and they haven't been doing this type of work very long. They're kind of neophytes, if you will, in it. We have other organizations that have been doing it for a really long time. We have other organizations that are really into Six Sigma or Lean, or they're really just focusing on, implementing A3s. And so with that in mind, we've really built the technology piece of that to be really customizable and to be really adaptable to any type of structure, because we recognize every place is going to look a little different, but they're going to have the same problems of, visibility and accountability and reporting on this. So it's a really difficult problem to solve, and it's been a lot of fun solving it here at KaiNexus. So.
Yeah, and I will say that one of the things that strikes me the most is the problem itself is difficult, but the concept of solving it sometimes is interesting in its simplicity. And so one of the terms that you guys are going to hear today in the demo over and over again is opportunity for improvement, or like we like to call it an OI here internally. The OI is essentially the building block of improvement at KaiNexus. Everything that you do in our system, any conversation that you have with our support group, you're going to that conversation, that action is going to be geared around an opportunity for improvement. And so that's what we're going to walk through today. Now, the good news is that that opportunity for improvement allows us to do so many great things.
And just to put a little context, that opportunity for improvement in some organizations can be an idea. In another organization, it might be an A3. In another organization, it might be a project. It might start as an idea at an organization and morph into a project, or it starts out as an idea, and the quality folks realize, hey, actually, some disciplined thought process needs to go in this. This will be a great example to do an A3, for instance. But essentially, kind of recognizing that you need one building block that you're kind of transacting in the system creates that ability to share information laterally across the system, and then it also starts building up a knowledge bank for an organization to kind of look back in time, and everyone's kind of using a little bit of the same framework.
And the fact is, it actually changes the speed and the effectiveness at which improvement can happen, and that's kind of what we see on the screen here. And so the fact is, there is a life cycle of improvement, and the opportunity for improvement facilitates that. And so if you can get your organization to be better at identifying good ideas, and then you can get your organization to be better at acting on those ideas in a timely manner and resolving them so you can understand the impact, well, then a system like KaiNexus can help you recognize people for their contributions and the cycle feeds itself. That's when we see true improvement happen. That's when we see the speed at which true improvement can happen.
In just, I think last month, a customer was telling us that before KaiNexus, they were trying to do this on Excel, and they thought they were doing a pretty good job. I mean, they had been doing it for a couple of years on Excel. Their Excel spreadsheet was very large, but they had been able to do it. The amazing thing was that they felt like it had gotten a little out of hand, and so they went to KaiNexus to try to help that scalability issue. And what was amazing is that she told me, well, I thought we were just going to help on the management side of things with KaiNexus, but it actually resulted in us getting more problems, ideas, opportunities, and we were able to complete them faster just because all of the busy work is now being handled and is being managed in a really great way. So it even helps this cycle even go faster, if you will.
And so technically, what we're going to see today is, again, this concept of an OI. The OI in KaiNexus is extremely flexible and also extremely powerful. And so we see organizations that have OIs that are very, very, very simple in nature. We use the example all the time. We've actually gotten the OI that we should move the printer from one side of a room to another because it would save us 25 steps and it would save us 5 minutes a day in what we're doing. And we think that is a really interesting daily continuous improvement that an organization can make. Now, that same OI, when we looked into it, when we actually went to implement that change, resulted in a number of tasks. We had to move a LAN cable, we had to get IT involved, we had to get the paper supplier involved to move the cabinet. And so those tasks were also managed in KaiNexus. So it gave us this visibility into how a very small incremental idea for improvement could then be managed in all of its related parts. And we see that time and time again.
I think that's just the key thing here, is that the level of complexity of the problem needs to be managed seamlessly in that same environment. You shouldn't have to take it out and say, oh, well, now we need to manage this in a different system. And so you'll see the ability to use tasks or to use the data set or use attachments or use collaborate, all the little functions and features built into an OI can be used or not used, and it really just depends on the level of complexity. You don't have to do the same 12 steps to every OI to get it through a process.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because what we also see is that this same model of an OI and its associated task can then be brought up to a higher level. And so whether you're doing bottom-up daily improvement or whether you're managing a value stream map project that spawns multiple Kaizen events, the OI still becomes the basic building block of improvement. And KaiNexus then allows you to group and categorize those OIs to give you really the visibility that you need when you need it in your organization. And so we're going to look at things today in the demo. We're going to tell a story around a value stream map project that spawned an event that then led to a number of OIs. But no matter where you're at in that process, KaiNexus makes it easier for you to manage that.
Absolutely. And what I love about this, and I just want to talk about over on the right, the class box. So one of the fun things at KaiNexus, one of the fun things about really creating a category of software, continuous improvement software, is that we're constantly improving and iterating and moving the product forward. And that's a lot of that's just being driven by our customers right now. They're just saying, hey, look at this, Greg. This is how we're using this, and it'd be great if it would do that. And what we saw really work is that people were actually using KaiNexus in their Greenbelt training class or in their A3 certification class or whatever continuous improvement methodology they were teaching. They would actually have participants in the class do some improvement work, and they would do it in KaiNexus. And it would just help manage the class in general for the teacher, but it would also, at the end of it, you get to show, hey, this class, we did 25 OIs or A3s or projects or whatever the organization's referring to them as, and it actually had this impact to the organization, whether that was safety or time savings or money savings. So it's just been a lot of fun to work with our customers and see how they're stretching the limits of what we're able to do.
Yeah, and I think I would even further that to say that strategic initiative becomes more important with every customer that we talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And so we hear it almost in every situation. Help me to tie my improvement work back to the executive goals of my organization. And that is one thing that I think we do well here at KaiNexus, but I think it is one of the key values that we bring. It's
Mm-hmm.
what we hear from customers all the time. It's so great to go into my CEO's office and tell him, hey, we had a strategic initiative of safety. Here's the improvement work we did around safety, and here's the impact it had to the organization. And so that's the kind of stuff we'll be looking at today. Again, all of that gets built around this basic building block of an OI. And we'll see that in the demo. So let me take you real quickly through the what you'll see in the demo and kind of the basic life cycle of an OI. Part of the job here at KaiNexus is to help our customers to identify more ideas. And part of that is capturing ideas in an easy way that is very functional for both the basic non-experienced end user who has never really done continuous improvement and doesn't know how, and the more advanced person who is using an idea as a full-fledged A3, for example. And so our job is to help identify or capture those ideas in a very easy way, and to lead to more ideas in the organization. The second thing that we are tasked with is helping to facilitate a workflow. It is extremely important that you don't just take ideas and let them go away into the ether. In order to develop a culture of continuous improvement, you actually have to implement those ideas. And the first step in that is to assign that work properly, timely, and to notify all the people involved. And KaiNexus helps facilitate that with our workflow. So managers know anytime a new idea comes into the system, and the leader or the manager can then assign that work to happen. And then during the implementation phase, KaiNexus is there to capture all the information, all the data, all the photos, everything, all the comments, every part of the collaboration required in order to implement the OI. From there,
What I think is amazing about that implement OI, Jeff, is that we talk to organizations that have systems and suggestion systems, and we hear about the struggles sometimes of those organizations, and we can ask some basic metrics, and these are metrics actually that you can visibly easily see in KaiNexus. But these metrics, what they help us do is they help us. I think of it. I'm an ER doctor, so I think of it as the health of your culture of continuous improvement. So we know that the number of OIs completed is extremely important. We also know the number of OIs implemented is extremely important. So when we hear, oh yeah, we're really struggling getting ideas from our employees, and one of the questions we ask is, what percent of those ideas are you implementing? I mean, what percent of those result in a change? And then you hear, oh, about 1%. And so just to give you a framework of how technology can change behavior, and how when Jeff says it's kind of our responsibility, we look at it, it's our responsibility via technology that works really well, that makes the work very easy to do. Our customers are implementing 79% across the board of OIs in KaiNexus. They're completing 100%. That means 100% of OIs are eventually going to get to, nothing can fall through the cracks, but 79% of every OI in the system is resulting in a change. And I think that's a remarkable number, and it just shows that they're building great, sustainable, long-term behaviors.
yeah, that's a great point. And I mean, that honestly brings us into the resolution, because if you're implementing 79% of your ideas, those ideas should be having an impact on your organization. And so what we do at KaiNexus is provide a consistent way for your organization to capture that impact. And so it gives you the opportunity over time to build a trusted set of data on the impact of your improvement work. And we'll see that quite clearly when we jump into the system. But we have an ROI section on our website that I'd recommend that you visit. But we see things that on average across all of our customers, they see a financial benefit of using KaiNexus at about $6,000 per employee per year. And so there's a reason for tracking and implementing these types of situations, and it's so that you can communicate them in the organization. And that actually brings us to the broadcast piece. KaiNexus is designed for notifying your organization. We are responsible for letting people know what happened and when it happened. And so we like to say that we want the right person to be notified about the right thing at the right time. And that is part of kind of the broadcast mechanism for us. And then last but not least, the recognition, history, and metrics. I think we get almost 100% positive feedback on the types of reporting and visibility that we can provide to customers. Our goal is to help you to understand exactly what's happening in your organization around improvement. And you will see that quite clearly in the demo today. But the fact is, this life cycle happens over and over and over again within KaiNexus. This is what feeds the machine of continuous improvement in our customers. And it's what you'll see today in the demo.
I love that. The machine of continuous improvement. All right, well, let's go ahead and hop in. The amazing. I'm always floored by the statistic, and this is from our customers. Just the statistic that if you aggregate all the improvement work, the financial benefit across all of our organizations, and you divide it by the number of users, it's about $6,000. So this I look at this work as way too important not to do it well. So what we're going to do is KaiNexus. It's a web-based program. We make it really easy to implement. It's simply no hardware is needed. Everything is done securely, just like you're doing internet banking. So from the IT side, super simple. Let's just hop into the product. I'm gonna log into a demo environment. So this is a fictitious. I've got to use a medical center, Jeff. You know, I'm an ER doctor, so I think in terms of medical centers. But I should just mention we have customers in every industry. I'm going to go into a fictitious medical center. What I want to do is just peek at an event a project down here, which we're calling the Value Stream Map Service Emergency Services Flow. The emergency services flow. Now, I will say, if there are folks out there that don't know what a value stream map is, don't get bogged down here. It's simply a process by which process improvement experts will map out processes and look for waste and look for opportunities for improvement. So if you don't know what it means, just think of it as a project. But what we're looking at here is a value stream mapping a project that the fictitious medical center did. And you can easily see the team that was involved in that value stream mapping. And what we're looking at here are all of the opportunities for improvement associated with it. You can see the majority of them have been completed. So 14 opportunities or OIs have been done. About 11 of them have been completed. They're still working on a couple more. And it's a really nice, easy way just to kind of peek at the entire event within itself. Now, if we take a look, we can actually take an interesting look here, and we can see of those 11 OIs, well, what is the impact event? And so now it becomes super simple for quality folks, process improvement folks, leadership, executive leaders to say, oh, okay, I see what activity and why we're doing this, because those 11 opportunities for improvement OIs resulted in a cost savings of $50,000 and a total of 171 hours saved per year. A lot of people ask us, wait, Greg, where did you get these numbers from? How did it calculate it? It's really simple. It's just every OI that's completed, you're offered the opportunity to input that, and then we're just aggregating the results of that. And what's really cool is we have customers that will make sure that a finance person audits the information. And so it really validates and makes sure that this is really good information. What's neat here is that this value stream map, and we see this happen in organizations, about half of our organizations are doing value stream mapping and Kaizen events, and I would say the other half are not doing this type of stuff. But when they're doing this type of stuff, what inevitably happens is the value stream app ends up creating a bunch of OIs, but it also creates Kaizen events associated with it, or rapid improvement events. And so we make it super simple to manage your Kaizen events right in to your entire value stream app. And so what's really cool about this is that we're making this super simple to use, because this is the exact same user interface that you were just looking at. And so, our idea here at KaiNexus is that the technology is so simple to use, it actually just blends into the background. We don't want this to be about the technology. This has to be about the improvement work itself. And when you are using kind of common user interfaces, the learning curve to start using this and getting value is super simple. We have people that need almost little to no training, and we have other people that might consume, an hour or upwards of 2 hours of training at the most. So let's go ahead and take a peek at one of these OIs. I want to show you kind of what this looks like. So let's take a look at this reorganized IV start kit OI. So let's just take a look at where this is in its life cycle. So I can quickly see all the key people related to this. So I see that Terry authored it and Adam assigned it to Pat. If I don't know who these people are, you just click on any of these people and all of the information about the person easily pops up, their contact info, their title. I can see this OI deals with reorganizing an IV start kit. The quick description, proposed solution. Let me add here, the description of proposed solution can be as complex or as simple as you need it. So depending on if a person's doing an A3, they might have a lot of information embedded in this area, or if they're doing daily improvement, it was just something done right at the front line. They just toss it in. And a lot of times, people will put an initial description in, and then they'll work with their process improvement people on really developing that out. Manage all of the comments associated with that right here. So comments is a great way to update folks. Hey, this is where we're at. Maybe you need to give some feedback. So we're taking all of this information that right now either is existing in an Excel spreadsheet or some SharePoint site, but primarily in email, and it kind of gets lost forever, hard to search, and it's been put right here to make it very visible.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think I hear from customers on a regular basis around this is it's how they can help the rest of the organization to take part in the continuous improvement process, because it's so much easier for a lean coach or a facilitator to do that coaching here in the comments across a large number of OIs, and the whole team on this OI will then have visibility into that coaching. And so it allows that kind of collaboration and that communication to happen, and it stores that information. So if you've got people that change their roles in the organization and this OI team changes, well, KaiNexus makes it so much easier to manage that. And that's the type of feedback I love getting, on how easy it is for them to teach other people how to take part in this process.
Yeah, it's great you mentioned that, Jeff, because I was an all nights ER doctor. I didn't ever have the opportunity to cross paths with the process improvement folks. And so this environment, really became a learning environment for me as well. And what I found really interesting is that, now that we're in the non-healthcare organization, for example, manufacturing, they're running 24/7 operations. So the people that are working in the middle of the night, or maybe this is a multi-site. How are you going to collaborate with a multi-site type of team? This type of collaboration, super simple to do that with. I have an area for attachments, so people, they can put in PDFs here, they can put in pictures. If you're doing A3s on a sheet of paper, this is where you shoot a quick picture of it and attach it right into as an attachment. We have companies doing that, and kind of combined with that, here's a link. So there's a link maybe to a website or to a document. Maybe the organization is using a file management system, and they just want to link to the document that this associates with. Super simple to do here.
Before I joined KaiNexus, I had a different thought at what the term butcher paper meant, but I can't tell you how many people I've seen, now take a picture of their butcher paper once they've captured their department's ideas and then include that as an attachment or a link here in KaiNexus.
Yep.
So again, it takes that information, it makes it instantly shareable, and it also makes it persist, right? It makes it something that you can search on and find at any point in time in the future.
Easy to find, yeah. Give the opportunity here for a data set. So we have organizations, well, I mean, PDSA, the study part is it's data driven. So there's going to be times when you're doing improvement work that's going to be a little bit higher risk, and a little bit higher cost. I always say if something's low risk, low cost, and easy to change back, don't study it a long time. Make the change and reevaluate. Do people like this? Do people don't like this? But if this is something that's a high risk thing, hey, if we make this change, we could potentially significantly increase time to a process. Then you need to do some data. And when you're doing data, it's really nice to be able to visually show that data. A lot of people use bulletin boards, for instance, for this. So in this case, they're just tracking the time required to start an IV kit. And you can do multiple series here, and really kind of, instead of doing it on a bulletin board, you're doing it where everyone in the entire organization can access this now and historically. All the tasks related to this OI are living over here. So we've got a task in draft status. We know it needs to be done. Pat's asked Lisa and Lindsay to also help out with this opportunity for improvement. And KaiNexus is going to remind people at the right time and keep track of due dates, etc. The activity log is something that we consistently hear from customers, is just huge from a tracking to what happened and accountability side of things. This is where people are right now trying to do this in email. Who was supposed to do what, and when were they supposed to do it by? And now anytime something happens, it's almost an audit trail, if you will, related to this opportunity for improvement. Makes things super simple to figure out who did what, why, where, and what the idea was behind it. So whenever the OI is deemed done, and once again, you don't have to use any of the features we just showed you, but whenever it's deemed done, you click on the Resolve button. You can categorize it. So Jeff, we did the categories, and I know you mentioned to the group that you started here about a half a year ago, and I explained to you how powerfully we do the categories, and really this was based on customer feedback to move to this direction. But it's like tagging, so people are saying, hey, we want to be able to track all of our A3s. Well, you just make that an organizational category, you tick the box, and then you can run reports on everything with the A3 category. We have other people that are doing high reliability work, so they're tracking behaviors on near misses, and then you can even put another level on a value stream. Just some examples of what our customers are doing, and then here are the departmental categories as well.
I'll tell you, one of the more interesting things I saw recently about this is we had a customer that created categories that essentially reflected the data points in their balanced scorecard. And so they were able to categorize their improvement work as it related to their balanced scorecard. And what it gave them on the back end was just this great research ability to know all of the improvement opportunities that they've had around each of the different segments of their balanced scorecard. So I think there's so much use in being able to tag categories as you're doing this type of improvement work.
You can also associate an opportunity for improvement with the strategic initiative. So I think between category, strategic initiatives, and even some of the data sets that I'm showing you, you're really kind of connecting, what are the goals of the organization to, okay, what are we actually doing to meet those goals? And that all of a sudden, that kind of connection and that synergy and kind of, I envision it like a bunch of gears kind of just all of a sudden lining up and working in sync. Creates a culture of continuous improvement. So after you put in what the outcome is, in this case, they changed the IV start kit. You ask, we really distilled this down to one simple question: did the OI result in a change or not? So this is that number, that 79%. We say, hey, Greg, how do y'all get that number? Well, we're just aggregating across how many times people click yes, this resulted in a change versus no. And if it does result in a change, this is a bit where technology can change behavior, right? Because now we're asking, okay, well, it should have resulted in a beneficial impact towards the organization. So whether this is a patient safety, or if this was a non-healthcare, this could say customer safety, for instance, or maybe this is a recurring cost savings, and you can put in the type of cost that's being saved. and an explanation too, because you can actually tag people in the finance department, set up their notifications to be notified anytime this type of impact happens. And so that person can go in, oh, hold on, Jeff thinks he saved the organization $1,000 a year. Let me go in and do a quick audit of it, maybe adjust it, maybe not, and kind of sign off on it, if you will. And then in this example, this is a time savings one. So we're just describing that that time saving has occurred, and who it is and how much it is. And what we're going to be able to do with that is aggregate it. And because we actually have the ability to go in and attribute an amount to every person, you can start getting an idea of the cost savings that are being involved, or the soft savings, I should say, that are being involved with time savings.
Yeah, and I think one of the keys here is this is a consistent way of asking this question across your organization, right? I mean, we have a customer we talked to yesterday. They have 21 locations across the United States. Trying to get an aggregate, consistent view in the impact they're having has been near impossible for them. But by asking consistent questions for everyone, now they have access to that information. And so I think that's a big component to it that's very difficult to do without technology. I think that's one of those examples where technology changes behavior and how it happens. I'd also say that, it's more interesting than not when the OI did not result in a change, right? It's not like you're losing information there. There are ways of knowing whether or not your training programs need to be updated. There's ways of knowing whether you're duplicating work based on OIs that did not actually result in a change to the organization. So that's important information too.
Yep. And I think the training one is probably the biggest one here. If you're seeing a lot of this is already part of our standard operating procedure, then you are understanding and uncovering that folks don't know what the standard operating procedure is. So that's a great point, Jeff. All right, so after you have stated that you've answered this question, fill out your impact, hit complete. And this is where you get into that broadcasting. So we're kind of at the 7, 8 o'clock on that clock. If you imagine that as being a clock that Jeff walked us through. And we really give you a couple different options. How do you want to let people know about this that worked on it? How do you want to let your whole department know? Do you want to let other departments know about this? And I'll just mention quickly, people ask us, gosh, doesn't KaiNexus generate a lot of emails? I mean, if we're sending out all these notifications. So we've learned a lot about email fatigue, and we've built a digest. It's almost like a 24-hour kind of newspaper, if you will. But what's cool about it is that it's all specific to you. So we know how you're associated with everybody, and we know how you're associated with all the improvement work. So we're putting in your digest all the things you need to know about the improvement work that happened. And then, there's the, in the PDSA, there's the adjust component, So a lot of things that need to be, some things just you don't need to review, but other things you might want to review in a certain period of time. Well, that's a perfect way that technology can be used. So you can just schedule this for review. Yeah, I want to be reminded of this in 90 days. See if we actually like it. You can even put a note in here why you're reviewing it. People use this in different ways. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think when we initially built this, we thought people were just going to make sure that things had entropy hadn't crept back in and things hadn't gone back. But people are using this to say, hey, we want to make sure we like the change. And then people are using this also to say, hey, we want to go look at the P&L to see exactly how much money did it save. We estimated it, but we want to go back in and tweak it to be exact. And then you complete the OI, and we've gone through that cycle now, and you can start to appreciate if this was a really small idea or an A3, if this was associated with a Kaizen event, which may have been associated with a bigger value stream. All this is just at your fingertips now. You can see we've moved another opportunity for improvement into the completed status. And let's just say, hey, yeah, Jeff, has anyone done anything with IVs? You can just put in IV, and boom, every time someone has done anything with IV, here it comes. And so it's super simple to research things to see if people have done that improvement work already in the system. We're talking about transferring knowledge kind of laterally as well as depth-wise. The ability to search is a key component of that.
Yeah, I hear that, Greg, time and time again. Like the search, the custom view into OIs, and things like the honor roll, right? Being able to set that this change is part of an honor roll, and so then being able to create a dashboard view into the honor rolls so that, we know what the other locations are working on.
Yep.
We know what's been a good positive change, and we can then make the change on our end.
It's that recognition component.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff, this was a great OI. I want to give you a star for this, or I want to give you 2 stars.
Yeah.
And then be able, even at the end of the year, to say, I want to look at all my 2-star OIs and give an award out. It's just kind of makes all those things possible without them becoming too laborious. Great. So hopefully you gotten a feel a little bit for kind of how events and projects work, as well as an opportunity for improvement. What I want to pop into is the reporting, and this is I think this is where we typically really resonate with the process improvement folks, with the quality folks that have been tasked to go do continuous improvement in a large organization. You have a small group of people that are tasked with doing this. Well, in order to do that really effectively, you need to have your fingertips on good information. So now it becomes really simple to say, okay, well, what have we done in the last 6 months in an organization, and just run that report real quick. And so I can see just at a glance that this is a healthy improvement environment, where I can see my number of completed and number of submitted. They're tracking similarly, number one, and they're going up. And more people are getting added to the system. I can easily see what my participation is. People want to know, what's my engagement? Well, now all of a sudden that information is at your fingertips, instead of spending, 2 days, going through sheets of paper and ticking off Excel spreadsheets. All of a sudden this stuff comes at your fingertips. You can easily see also now that since the beginning of the year, 148 OIs have been submitted. 131 of those have been completed. A couple of them have been reopened. 3 are overdue. So as a quality or process person, or even as a CEO, you can say, what's overdue? Maybe Julie needs help with this. Let's reach out to Julie, see what's the barrier for Julie getting this done. It doesn't need to be used as a whip per se. I mean, most people have intrinsic desire to make their place better. Sometimes there's roadblocks to do that. Makes it real simple. And if you want to just look at the emergency department itself, you can dive into this. And all these departments are completely customizable for your own industry. You can even break into work groups within departments, and even break into work groups within work groups. We can really kind of model any level of complexity or any workflow that you want. All right, so now let's take a look. This is what blows people away. So now think about this, Jeff. I want to take a look at all of my value stream mapping events, all of my Kai's events, all of my OIs from daily improvement. I want to know, what's the impact, the global impact that all of my continuous improvement work has done. Well, now it's at your fingertips. You've been collecting the data in a really reportable way, so you can say, oh, we've saved $330,000. We've generated $50,000 more revenue. We've saved 2,200 hours. And you can really get into this. You can say, we've done 59 OIs related to safety. I want to see what those are. I'm the safety officer of the organization. And boom, you can really, you can kind of stay at that 30,000 foot view and then get right down into the granular level view. Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff I think Excel and SharePoint just, if you're trying to do this on a typical spreadsheet or whatever, this aggregation is, I think, what we hear from people that they like the most. This instant visibility. What's interesting to me is this same type of view, we hear from people that it's also helpful at a much lower level. So if I kind of look down a little bit, right, I can look at Pam, and Pam has individual metrics. And so I can go back to the beginning of the year for Pam and have an HR conversation with her about the fact that she's really only added 1 OI into the system, right? And we can take a look at it, and it's a pretty good one. And so we might be happy with her input, but maybe we coach her on how to think about adding more ideas into the system. Whereas, if I look at the physicians, perhaps Alvin has a much better view. So not just at a high aggregate level throughout the organization, but at a detailed user level, we can use this to just be better on a regular basis.
So we're getting into the question and answer part of this. So if you haven't filled out any questions. At this point, you can use your control panel. There's an area there where you can add questions and send them over. And a couple questions have already come through at this point. So there's a question here, Jeff, that talks about, we have 2,500 people at our company. How do you get all the users in? And so I'll just let you know, we have, you can add in users yourself. We have importing capabilities, and even on larger deployments, we can talk to you about LDAP integration. We are going to make this as simple as possible to get your organization up and running. I think the beauty of the SaaS-based model is that we're able to, whenever you log in, you're always logging in to the most up-to-date version of the software. When people have an idea, or maybe they find a little glitch in the system, the turnaround that we're able to give is so quick that people they aren't used to that. They're used to saying, "Oh, we're gonna have to live with this bug until the 2015 version of this software comes out." But kind of gone are those days. So, did you want to add anything to that, Jeff? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the answer to that is also, and there's another question on here around capabilities around training and how we help drive adoption here. Part of it is that we help, right? We're a hands-on partner with our customers, and so as you're adding users in, we've developed kind of import processes for you to take advantage of. But the fact of the matter is we're standing there with you while you're doing it, and so. I think that's part of the solution here. That's where, technology is a big part of it, but so is just the partnership that we bring here. It looks like there's another question about scalability and about multiple departments and multiple sites. So, Greg, I'll let you handle that one.
Yeah, we made some really cool improvements. We're getting larger companies that are signing up for KaiNexus, and they're creating more complex organizational structures. And so we've actually added some really, really cool features to give and to support that complexity. So one of these is if, let's say you are the manager of the emergency and the pharmacy department. I mean, there's probably not anyone that really would be, but just go with me here, okay? You actually have the ability to multi-select if you want to go ahead and see the data on multiple sites, and you can actually set that as your preference. So maybe you have 150 departments at an organization, but you're the manager for 10 of those. You can set your view to look at the 10 of those always, and you can say, hey, actually just remember these select departments. These are the ones I care about. We've also added the ability to group departments together. So perhaps maybe you do have 125 of those departments, and you want to just group 10 of them and identify them as the East Coast division. You can add another level in this network that can kind of parse those out in the East Coast division. And so it really kind of just allows us to support really complex organization and large organization structures that we're doing now. Is there any other part of that question?
No, I mean, I think you covered it. I mean, part of it is probably a specific conversation about the existing organization structure, right, and then working through a solution together to make that happen. But I don't think we've run into the situation yet where the organization structure has been too complex and not able to scale in the KaiNexus platform.
That's correct. So, and that's part of the implementation process we go through. So, that's probably not an unreasonable thing to mention. We don't just, turn you on and say, good luck.
Well, and there actually is a question in there about the implementation process. So
you want to talk about that?
Yeah, let me talk a little about that. So, implementation process is a fairly defined process here at KaiNexus. We look at it in a couple of ways. I mean, one, we need to help you get the system set up and configured. And so it's a very kind of hands-on methodology for how do we get your users in the system? How do we get this network created? How do we get you guys ready to go? And then from there, we look at training users. And we envision training to happen on a number of different levels based on the user type. So if you think of the types of users you would have in a system like this. You're going to have admins. You're going to have people who they're not really part of continuous improvement. They're adding users and they're kind of dealing with the day-to-day maintenance of a software system. We'll train them. You're going to have what we call an implementation team, which we consider to be a very important part of the process. Those people are going to be your champions internally. And we are going to spend a significant amount of time making sure that they're not only comfortable in KaiNexus, but almost closer to an expert user in KaiNexus. From there, we spend time helping your executives understand how to use reports. And then we look at your users.
And even with the executives, let me just mention, we actually help them understand how they want their notifications set up, whether they want lots of notifications or very few notifications. We actually set up their default views. Maybe some people want to go in the system and the first thing they want to see is how do you enter an OI? Boom, that can be up. A lot of our executives give us the feedback that they want to see the reporting screen first. So we've just a lot of things you can do to decrease the number of clicks and make it super simple for the type of user that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And we've done a lot of work with making sure it's that case with the senior leadership.
Yeah, and then the same thing goes to managers and end users. End users probably don't need nearly as much training because for the most part, many of them are only going to be entering OIs into the process. And so we've got great video options for them and very kind of low touch, easy ways for them to consume information. Managers are the lifeblood here, and they need to be trained on how to respond to people timely, how to understand visibility into their department, and how to assign work properly within KaiNexus.
And so some of that's just, well, where's the button to click?
That's right.
But other aspects of it are behavioral components to that. So yeah.
So for a lot of organizations, we'll go through the implementation process and the training process, and they will be off and running. For others, there's a little bit more of a need for let's just call it some reinforcement. And so we have partnership options to help reinforce behaviors for them. And so we help organizations run workouts or projects, right, with defined start date and end dates and goals, and we will come on site and actually help work through that with them. Other organizations will help with things like a KaiNexus kickoff event, where the goal is to reinforce the behavior of the communication between managers and users in daily continuous improvement. And so we have a number of options to help facilitate a successful, not only implementation, but a successful long-term valuable usage of a technology like KaiNexus.
I've got two questions that just came in. So one is, have we done implementations outside of the U.S.? And the answer is yes. We have implementations up in Canada. We have implementations in Europe. We have a much larger, complex organization that even has some of their sites in Asia, and they're actually collaborating with it. To date, we've had we have implementations down in Central America as well. To date, we've had OIs in Spanish and French and Dutch, and obviously in English. So it'll be interesting to see what our fifth language is, to see an OI come. I love the fact that people can use this and enter in their OIs. I mean, a lot of people have some basic English skills, so they get what the fields are, and especially when they're told. And then they're actually able to use this in other languages and in other industries that we hadn't thought about. Like when we got a produce company, and I was like, hadn't thought, or when we got the architect company, and I hadn't thought about using it in that event. And it just shows that continuous improvement concepts are applicable to really any industry and in any language. I mean, I started thinking about this because I read a book from Mizaki Amai from Japan about the automotive industry and applied it in the U.S. in a healthcare environment. Anyway, so yes, we have done multiple deployments outside of the U.S. The second question, kind of related to this, is, well, what if your user doesn't have an email address? We have a lot of people that don't have email addresses, don't communicate via email, that work at our company. We would want them to be able to participate in this. And in that case, you just would set up your login credential without the without using an email. Now, obviously, you wouldn't get the benefit of get the notifications via the email or be able to submit an OI via an email, which is a cool feature, which I don't know if we mentioned, but definitely we can support environments like that. There's another question here. Hold on, let me just finish reading it. This is, I mean, I'll take this. This really specifically relates to healthcare and physicians. The question is, how do you get physicians to be engaged in this type of work? And it's funny you mentioned that question because, Mark Raven is the VP of Customer Success here at KaiNexus. We met, I guess, almost 3 years ago. I mean, we were very much in our infancy and a very beta product at that time. And aside from him being really skeptical about technology in general and how it could be used to facilitate this, after showing him the product and us talking a number of hours, he realized that in order for Kaizen work to really scale across a complex organization, that technology was going to have to be a part of that. There's only so much cards can do. And you get up to 500, 750, 1,000 cards. You get into organizations that they have multiple sites or multiple floors, or organizations where, when I was describing, I'm an ER doctor that works at night. How do I engage in this process? And he was just floored by the fact that I was a doctor. In his experience, doctors were the hardest people to convince to come and to work in this. And I was kind of amazed by that because I was like, wow, doctors really want to do things always more efficiently. I mean, there's no population of people in my mind that are more type A about their time. So it led us to realize that if you're really providing this in a super simple way, putting an opportunity for improvement in can take as little as 30 seconds. Pulling out your iPhone, maybe you use Siri to dictate it. You just toss it in, take a picture of it, and send it off, and move about your day. And just tell physicians, hey, tell me about barriers that you encounter that relate to you providing the best care that you could provide in the most efficient way. Doctors and physicians are going to start engaging at unprecedented levels. I think you're going to find. If you ask a doctor, hey, I need you to take a week off and come be a part of a value stream mapping event, and you're going to have to close clinic down, not operate for that week, don't do shifts, things of that nature, you're going to have a situation where they're not going to engage. So my advice on that question would be, provide really easy ways to engage, and you're going to find populations of people that hadn't engaged before starting to engage.
Yeah, and I think that goes across industry as much as anything. Not just doctors, but I think we see that in frontline employees in manufacturing organizations and all over the place.
I can't believe an hour has gone by. I feel like we just started. You were pointing at the clock there, and I was like, wow, an hour flew by. I hope you guys found some, at least the topic, interesting. We would really love for this to be the beginning of a conversation about KaiNexus. And what's great about our sales process is the first step is just figuring out. The first step is really just figuring out, are we even a good fit in general. But we're gonna go ahead and show one last slide here. This is the way you can connect with us, our website, our blog, future webinars, all of our social media accounts, and Jeff, contact information here. You can also, give us a call. Our telephone numbers on our website. I'd be happy to address any questions as well, and look forward to, starting a conversation with you. You will get this webinar via email in about a day or two. We just have to do some processing and editing. And thank you so much for attending.
Yeah, thank you guys. Looking forward to maybe having a conversation with you. Have a wonderful day.
Good afternoon. Bye-bye.